quickly letting you all know that we are in a pandemic. The word pandemic means that we have a particular disease that is in every region and practically every country in the world. So that's why last week or maybe the week before, the WHO used the term pandemic to indicate what is happening with COVID-19. Again, just so that we are clear on the definitions, we have coronavirus, or there's a group of viruses known as the coronavirus, and they have been around forever and ever and ever. What we've seen is that 2019, there was a new version of the coronavirus. So we started calling it novel coronavirus, meaning new coronavirus. And in the middle of February, the WHO decided to officially name this new virus and officially name the disease that is linked to the virus. So the name of the new virus is SARS-CoV-2, meaning severe acute respiratory syndrome, the SARS that we've been hearing about in other places at other times. Coronavirus 2, the second version of this SARS coronavirus, because they've recognized that it looks pretty similar to the virus that was causing the SARS. Remember, the world was in an uproar. Well, maybe it hadn't been so widespread, but the world was in an uproar a couple years ago about SARS and preventing SARS from coming into our shores and so forth. So because it's very similar, meaning it looks kind of the same, it's not the same exact virus, but it looks very similar, then this is the SARS-CoV-2, and the virus and the disease that you get if you are infected with SARS-CoV-2 is COVID-19, meaning the coronavirus disease 2019. So COVID-19 really is the short for that. Okay, so let me go to some of the exact questions. Okay, so let me explain specifically when they say social distancing, what that means, because it's a term that you're hearing around. If you're listening to US media, you are hearing them also use the term shelter in place now, and shelter in place is something that we have used before, but it's mainly used for other kinds of for natural disaster. So if there's like a hurricane or there is any kind of natural disaster, they would tell you to shelter in place, meaning stay home, stay where you are. As long as where you are seems safe, stay there. And in essence, they're using that term in the US also to give people a better understanding of when they say social distancing, what does that mean? So social distancing means, as my as Mr. Duke said some time ago, I mean, honestly, I love the way he's able to bring some very fancy, sophisticated terms to something that we all know. Social distancing, as he puts it, means being stush. If you are a Trinbagonian, if you have Trinbago heritage, Caribbean heritage, you know what stush means. It means I by myself and I'm not matching up with you people, whoever you people are, for whatever reason. So, and that is what social distancing is, really telling you that if you must be in a space with other people, you need to ensure that there is a decent amount of space between you and the other people around. If you do not have to go out into public, then don't go out into a space where there are other people. It's as simple as that. If you can do everything you need to do and stay at home in your house, then do that, because that is what social distancing is. And I'm going to give this very practical example because, again, I think people are not getting it a little bit. I had to go to the drugstore this morning because I needed to get some medication for someone, and because I was going, I actually was able to take to get medication for somebody else so that they don't have to go. Again, that is of social distancing, where instead of 3 people going, have the one person go so you don't flock the drugstore. Okay, so I am in the drugstore in Scarborough this morning, and gentleman is right up on me. I mean, you know how we do right up on. I see people complaining about it all the time in the banks, in a line, people always right up on you. I looked at him, I looked at him, I said, sir, I think you need to step back a little bit because we're trying to practice social distancing, which means you need to be at least, for the minimum, at least 3 feet away from me. We could be in the line, but you need to be at least 3 feet away from me. Because I was at the front of the line interacting with the cashier and the druggist or whoever she is, she said, yes, oh my God, we've been trying to tell people that all day, but like they're not listening. So this makes me think it's important for us to give specific examples. I have actually seen in stores in other places where you actually see dots. So this is the line, and there are dots that are at least 3 feet away from you. Yes, I have remember I did the post about the chickens. I have the door open so that I could get some natural light coming into my house, and yes, I am a country girl. It have chickens in the yard, yes. So why do we need that social distancing though? Well, the evidence is showing that yes, it's an organic fowl avian. The evidence is showing that if someone has COVID-19, if someone has the virus inside of them, that one of the most frequent ways that that virus is transmitted from one person to the other is when there are droplets from the nose, from the mouth, and those droplets go out and touch other people around their nose, mouth, and eyes. Okay? Now, what we do know is that if someone sneezes or if someone coughs, I'm sure we've all experienced it, where if you cough or if you sneeze, you feel the wet thing on your hand. You feel that wet thing. When we talk about droplets, that's what we're talking about, that wet thing that comes out of your nose and your mouth when you sneeze and when you cough. When it happens, if you're sneezing and you're coughing and you do not block your sneeze or your cough, then those droplets fly into the air. And if the person who sneezes or coughs is right next to you, it flies onto you. It flies onto your face. I'm sure we've all been around children, for example, who sneeze and cough, and you feel all of their everything all over you. So that is what's happening. And because of how the virus is made, there are some receptacles on the virus that in essence attaches to our mucosal linings. So the linings of our mouth, the linings of our nose, and the linings of our eyes. The virus attaches to our mucosal linings. And when the virus attaches to the mucosal lining, it then gets into our body, and then it starts to replicate, multiply inside of us. And this particular virus, it starts attacking the lungs, which is why the people who have serious issues after they've become infected, they start getting shortness of breath because it is attacking the lungs. The people who in essence die as a result of COVID-19 die because of the shortness of breath issue. So their body isn't able to breathe in the simplest term, the way we traditionally think of it. Okay, so let me go to some of the questions. The other thing I needed to say too is that even though we know that about 80% of the people who are confirmed having COVID-19, they have very mild symptoms and they recover pretty quickly. And when I say recover quickly, some recover within a matter of days because it feels like a normal cold. I've been listening to people who have who've recovered, and some of them tell you all they had was a little cough, all they had was a little, they just felt a little bit of fatigue. All they had was those very, very mild symptoms, and they were able to just stay home and rest, and they were able to recover. So, and that was just in a matter of days, when that happened. Because that is happening to people who are younger, meaning the people who seem to recover fastest, quickest, without much complications, are the ones who are under the age of 60, and they are the ones who do not have other comorbidities, so they don't have diabetes and heart disease and lung disease or any kind of cancer or anything like that, because 80% of the people recover relatively easily. Then we tend to see where younger people who think they are not in the high risk group, they are the ones saying, well, nothing is bad is going to happen to me, so why do I need to social distance myself? And the answer really is, we are doing this because we need to protect those who are vulnerable. If you are in the group that you are young and you are otherwise healthy, the thing is, you can pick up the virus and you could be fine. You can have very minimal symptoms, but when you go home and you interact with mommy or daddy or granny or grand aunt who is over the age of 60 or who has some kind of heart problem or diabetes or something, and you give them the virus, they may not fare out as good as you are faring out. Which is why we need you to really, really, really be conscious, to really, really take a little bit of time and stop what you're doing, kind of give it a timeout. A timeout. We don't need to be going out and doing all of the things that we're doing right now. We need a timeout. And let me explain also why this is important. I have two other reasons. One, even though only about 20% of the people who get COVID-19 need to be hospitalized, even though only about 20% need to be hospitalized, we have to calculate 20% of what? If you are talking about 20 people getting infected or 10 people getting infected, then 20% is what? 2 people. 2 people heading to the hospital may not be a big of an issue. If you are talking about, and this is a Tobago thing, specifically in Tobago, if we are talking about 1,000 people getting infected, 1,000 people getting infected, and 20% of those have to go to the hospital, that is what? 200 people? Could you imagine our 100-bed hospital? Let's just think about it. Our 100-bed hospital, brand spanking new, well, 6-7 years, brand spanking new hospital, now have to figure out what to do with 200 people. And that is why this is important, because if we have all of these people getting sick at the same time, what is happening is that we will overpower our already fragile health system. And if we overpower our already fragile health system, we run the risk of, one, having our health professionals also get sick, also get overworked, also get overburdened, and they cannot then take care of the same people who are your uncle and aunt and mommy and granny, who are in the hospital right now because they are sick with something that is not COVID-19. They are sick with something else. And because they are sick with something else, and we now add 200, using that example, 200 additional people onto the health system, the health system will collapse. And if the health system collapses, we all, every last one of us, will suffer. every last one of us will suffer if the health system collapses. And if you are a Tobagonian and you have had to experience, or any family member has had to experience our health system, we know it is already extremely fragile. We know it is already extremely fragile. So we want to ensure that we do not do anything to make our already fragile health system collapse, because none of us can afford it. And we're in a situation now that even if you have plenty money, because some of us feel that because we have a little bit of change, we could pick up and fly out and go somewhere else. This is happening all over the world. And because it's happening all over the world, we cannot afford that. Tobago, we cannot afford that. We are begging you all, please practice this kind of social isolation, social distancing, staying apart from each other. We can't afford to have our health system completely collapse because we happen to have 200 people, let's say, get sick and need to use the hospital. And you already hear them saying that if we have really critically ill people, we have to send them to Trinidad. So could you imagine if we have to send ours to Trinidad, and Trinidad people are not doing what they should be doing, and they are overcrowding the hospitals in Trinidad? Do you think they will have space for our Tobago people in Trinidad? They will not. They will not. So we need you. It's just a little bit of time. And the other thing about this social distancing and doing it now, let's bite the bullet and do it now. I've been doing again some research to look at how long, for the people who are sick, how long do they stay sick? For the most part, the people who are in the 80% and so forth, they are within a week, 2 weeks from when they got sick. Others who have comorbidities, others who have other issues, they stay a little longer to get better, right? Now, if we are all self-distancing and we are all taking the responsibility of not infecting other people, it means that everybody who are already infected, because as much as, how do I put this? As much as Trinidad and Tobago only has 9 confirmed cases, we don't know that there are only 9 confirmed cases. There may be way more than 9 confirmed cases. And even if that is the case, even if we are up to a larger number than the 9 right now, if each and every one of us do what we need to do to ensure that we do not infect another person, then we keep that infection rate down. And that's what we need to do. If we keep that infection rate down, and we know that the people who are infected, who are able to transmit it to someone else, they do it when they are showing symptoms, and the research seems to be saying that they're also doing it just before they are showing symptoms, so they may not even recognize. And again, we always touching our face, touching our eyes, touching our nose. They may be touching their face, touching their eyes, touching their nose, getting mucus. All of it is dig with nose. All of us dig our nose and then we use the same hand and touch other things. They may be doing that. If they are doing that, we need to stay away from them. And no, nobody's doing that because they're evil and wicked. We do that because that is human nature. That is who we are. So if all of us right now could just separate ourselves, it means that those who are sick now will be able to take a little bit of time to get better. But it also means that we do not add to the number of people who keep getting sick over and over and over, and exponentially. And if we are able to do that for a couple weeks, bunker down for at least a month. If we bunker down for at least a month, we give the people who are able to recover on their own, who are able to just maybe go and get basic therapies, we give them enough time to be sick, to get better, and to be fine again. And those who have very, very severe illness, we give them enough time to get to the hospital, to get their ventilator, to get their fever controlled, and we give them enough time to do that. Then we have an opportunity to halt this disease and to put a kind of a break to it. We are not going to get rid of it completely. we can't get, it's like any of the other viruses around, H1N1, which is what, swine flu, bird flu, all of these things, there are going to be periods when they come up and then go back down. But for this particular infection period, we need to do all that we can do to stop it in its track and to slow it down. That is what in the US, they keep talking this thing about flattening the curve. That is in essence what flattening the curve is, when they prevent the rates from going so high so quickly, but you have the curve where you have people who are already sick getting better and people who are not getting sick as quickly. So even if people do get infected a little later, you are still giving the health system a little bit of time to treat with the people who are sick now, get them well, get them out, so that if there are others who get sick, they come in after and we can still treat with them. We do not overburden the health system. Tobago, we know that we are behind the curve when it comes to having a stellar health service. We know that. That is why we are begging you, stay home, stay in your yard, keep away from large gatherings. And I know, again going back to the practicality of this, I know that we are a people who normally gather. I know that we are people who normally gather, and that is just who we are. But this is an opportunity for us to take a little bit of time to just pull away from that for a little bit. We have funerals. We have weddings. We have all of, Tobago has these harvests and all of these things. Just take a little time. I am actually seeing churches, for example, sending us notices saying that even if you have a funeral that needs to happen, you have to limit the number of people who come to a certain number. The Prime Minister, who I am not sure exactly who made the notice yesterday, that instead of using the 25 number, we are now bringing it down to 10. So you really should not be congregating in a space where there are more than 10 or so people at any given time. And even if there are 10 people at any given time, you still need to put space between you guys, just in case. This is it has the potential, and that's the thing, it has the potential to be very bad for a small number of people. But if we have very large numbers, that small number of people could get very large and very large quickly. And if we can't take care of them, it means that they will die. Okay, so let me go to some of the questions that I have gotten very quickly. Let me go to some of the questions. Where are they? So, what is the incubation period of the virus? The incubation period, okay, so the incubation period is a time between when you come into contact with the virus and you start showing symptoms, right? So let's just say today, somebody, God forbid, sneeze all over your face. The time between that sneezing all over your face, when the virus goes into your body, starts multiplying, starts affecting your different organs, so you start getting signs and symptoms. That is the incubation period, the time between when you get when you've been exposed to when you start showing signs and symptoms, in essence. The data is showing that the average, the most people start showing signs and symptoms within the first couple days. Not couple, not really, 2. So within the first 4 or 5 days or so, most people start showing signs and symptoms within 4 or 5 days. There are other people who show symptoms up to 15 days. So the period that they are giving is 15 days, right? So if you have come into contact, you have been exposed to the virus, and after 15 days you have shown no signs or symptoms, then for the most part we're thinking that it's probably you did not get infected. That is why they are quarantining people, or that is why quarantining people who are not sick yet, but they came from, a country, or they just came off of a flight or something, or they just came off of a cruise ship or whatever it is. They put them in a space for 15 days so that we can at least watch them to make sure that they are not showing signs and symptoms. If you ask me, I think those people, you need to be testing them one time, because we do seem to be getting data that says that 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 you do not everyone does not show the severe signs and symptoms. Everyone does not show all of the signs and symptoms. But we need to know, we need to know what we need to know, that you have the virus or not, right? So I think we should be testing everyone, but then again, that is not my, well, not right now as minority councillor in the Tobago House of Assembly. We leave that to the officials in the THE. So let me go to another. So the incubation period for the virus is 15 days, roughly. If social distances is strictly practiced, how long will it be before the virus can be removed from the population? The reality is the virus is never going to be completely removed from the population. I think I said that before, where there are still going to be infections. It's a virus, it's going to be around. But for this initial period, if we really bunker down, and if we really do social distancing and so forth, I think this wave, we could flatten it within like a month, 2 months, and get back to normal. Yes, we would continue having flu seasons, and we would continue having periods where the virus comes back up and people get it and so forth. So you would end up seeing, in essence, the curve, the epidemiological curve would be waves where, it goes up and then goes down and goes up and goes down, like a wave. That is what's going to happen after a while when we get it under control. What is happening now is that it's going up and up and up and up and up. And that is what we don't want. We don't need it to be going up and up and up. We need it to flatten and then go back down. That is what we need. Let me see the other questions. Who are the specific persons who are highest at risk for the virus? The ones who seem to be highest at risk are people over the age of 60 and people with comorbidities, even if you are not over the age of 60. So if you have diabetes, if you have heart disease, if you have lung disease, if you have cancers, if you have HIV, if you have any other comorbidity, it seems like your body isn't able to fight off the disease as well as it should. So those are the ones who are most at risk. Are all air and seaports secure, including trade port in South Trinidad? I don't know. They tell us that they are. They tell us that they are testing and swabbing and isolating and whatnot. And as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, I am hoping that what they are saying is in fact accurate. But I honestly don't know. Which is why I keep pushing that we are the ones who need to take individual responsibility for this, because I wish I could tell you definitively, yes, they are, but honestly, I don't know. What number should you call if you suspect, or if you suspect you or someone else has the virus? I know that in Tobago they are working on putting up 211, so that when you call 211, you are able to get direct information. You are able to have a doctor, for example, answer your questions and so forth. But that has not happened yet. Even I think up to today, when that question was asked, it had not happened yet. There is a list, which I think I've posted before, and I could post it again, of all of the health centers and hospital and their telephone numbers, their time of service, and their telephone numbers. So the thing is, if you think you have it, you have the signs and symptoms, you've been traveling, or you've come into contact with somebody who've traveled, or anything, you think that because of all of this information that's you, call those numbers. It's important to note though that we are asking people not to just go into the health facilities, because again, if you really do have it and you just walk in and go and sit down in A&E as we normally do for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, then you are sitting around with other people who may be sick, and we don't want you to do that. So this specific situation, call those numbers and they would tell you, based on your circumstance, to come in, to go get tested, to go wherever, to go and do that. Given the loss of entertainment options, which would affect psychological health of our people, what are potential substitute activities? What are potential substitute activities? Very good question. If you are like me, who love TV, I watch a whole lot of TV. I don't even know that that's a substitute. That is just me. I love TV. I love Netflix. I love those things. I have them on all the time. If you are a reader, get a couple good books. I recognize that the library is now closed, but I'm sure we have books at home that you haven't read and you've been buying them and not reading them. Somebody asked me yesterday, I think it was, about going to the gym because the person is a exercise kind of freak kind of person, and I told them that actually in some parts of the world gyms have been closed. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have not closed the gyms, but here was my answer to them. If you are going to the gym, you need to ensure that you sanitize any equipment that you are about to use. So if you're using a machine, make sure that where you touch on the machine has been sanitized. The other thing, though, is that if you are going to the gym, you have to make sure that the gym that you are going to is so big that if there are other people in the gym, you can still socially distance yourself from those people. I don't know all of the gyms in Tobago, but if your gym allows you to stand at least 3 to 6 feet away from the next person who is in the gym, sure, if you absolutely must. If you don't have to, don't. I would recommend, though, doing outside things, so outside exercises, walking, running, and those things. But again, do it in a way that allows you to socially distance yourself from other people. Do it in a way that allows you to socially distance yourself from other people. And the second part of that question is, do we expect babies in 9 months? And I'm sure we will have a baby boom, because when you tell people stay home, for some people, what else is there to do home but have sex? No. Which is okay, because it's almost impossible to tell people to socially distance themselves within their homes, depending on the structure of your home, depending on the size of your home. It's important, though, for me to reiterate that if you are isolating at home, meaning you are sick, but you have very mild symptoms and you are able to be at home and get over your illness, then you need to ensure that you do not infect everyone else at home. So social isolating at home is not sitting, having dinner with your family and everything. It would mean you actually have to be in a room by yourself, watching TV, reading, whatever else you're doing, sleeping, because you might actually be a little bit fatigued, doing all of that by yourself and not interacting with your family, because again, you don't want to get them infected. You don't want to get them sick, particularly if you have elderly, you have grandparents and so forth. They need to really stay away, even from you right now, even if you're not sick, because remember, you may have picked it up and not showing signs and symptoms just yet. So keeping grandparents, keeping the older generation kind of by themselves, I mean, it's a really hard thing. It's hard. Again, we are social people. We are people who need to be interacting, and particularly some of these older people are already lonely and that kind of thing, but it is something that is absolutely necessary, because we don't want a situation where everybody came and we have dinner and we have a big dinner tonight, and then tomorrow, the day after, we now have to rush Granny to the hospital because Granny can't breathe. That is not going to be worth it. So we have to kind of bite the bullet now so that it gets better later. What is the status of the virus in Wuhan, China, which is basically known as Ground Zero? By the way, I'm showing off my Friends for Life cup. I love Eswick and those guys. Anyway. So Wuhan, China is actually doing pretty well. They have done quite a bit of work at ensuring that they bunker down and they socially isolate themselves. I think I saw a report yesterday or day before where it said it was probably the first day since this whole thing started where they did not have a new confirmed case. So they've gotten to the point where they have figured out how to treat the people, how to keep people isolated, and prevent new infections from happening. I don't know if that, I think that was a report yesterday, and that was good news, because we're talking about millions of people. If they are able to bunker down and prevent new infections, then that is a good thing. Are there new measures or suggestions that we can do in the population or in the government in order to calm the population and suppress the virus? I guess like stuff that I'm doing now, because we need to ensure that people have the answers to their questions, because people do have quite a bit of questions. It's something new, and we need to ensure that that people have answers. We need to also ensure, the government in particular needs to ensure that there is an economic response to this, because the reality is, if people are home, if we're telling bars to close and stuff like that, it means there are economic fallouts as a result of this. And I have actually seen countries where different countries are using different mechanisms. We have countries giving each citizen, literally just giving each citizen money. We have countries who are, the government workers, they continue to get their salaries even though they have to stay home. But there are countries, I can't remember which country it was now, they were actually paying the salaries of people who are working in the private sector, because we know a lot of the private sector people are crying out, and they're going to cry out quite a bit. So they are paying the salaries of the workers in the private sector to prevent the owners of those businesses from sending them home. So it's stuff like that we need to do. I'm getting other questions. Let me see. What are some of the other questions? Where do nationals who arrive on international flights but test negative do? Do they self-quarantine at home? Are they also quarantined by the government? This category has been left out in all updates. I don't know. I don't know what is happening here. I understand that, for example, you get no, let me not say I don't know. You get conflicting reports. In some instances, they say, so for example, the 70-something or 60-something people who came off of the cruise, they have been placed in a specific location that they are, so it is not I think it's one of those camping grounds or something like that. I can't remember the name of the space. But they are under government watch, under medical watch. Let me not say medical care, medical watch. But they are separate from things. So they are under quarantine, but they are not they are not at home in their own houses doing self-quarantining. In other countries, they have been telling people to self-quarantine at home. So you come back from China or wherever, you don't know your situation, meaning you may or may not be feeling any signs and symptoms just yet. You go home and stay in your little corner, and if you start feeling signs and symptoms, then call us, then come in, not come in, then call us, we come get you, or come to one of the testing sites, because in different parts of the world have different testing sites options. I'm actually seeing in some places where they have drive up, so you literally drive up with your car. They swab your nostrils or swab your mouth or whatever is the sampling that's using for the particular test they are using, and you drive off and you get your results after, because you don't get an immediate result. Even in the best of places, you're not getting an immediate result just yet. You still have to wait a little bit for the result. So in Trinidad and Tobago, for now, for those people who are coming in large groups, like the group that came yesterday or day before from the cruise, they are isolating. They have been quarantined in a particular location. I understand that they've been telling other people who may be coming one from different places to self-quarantine at home. And again, because let me use clear up what those two words means. We have isolation. Isolation is what you do with people who you know are sick. So if I am sick, if I am definitely sick, I know I have COVID-19 and I need to ensure that I don't infect other patients, for example, then I isolate. If I have been exposed, but I am not yet sick, or I don't know that I'm sick, I don't have symptoms and I have not been tested yet, so there isn't a confirmation on my sickness, then I quarantine. Right? So you quarantine people who have been exposed but are not yet sick. You isolate people who you know are sick. Let me go through again. A couple other people sent questions on my phone, so let me go through those first to make sure I get all of those, and then I will answer the questions that people ask on the live, because I have been seeing people asking questions on the live, not about my chickens or my fowls. I'm not answering questions about those. Let's see here. Let me pull up that. Pull up. Where is that? Again, if you all have other questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If I don't know the answer, then I'll just say I don't know the answer. Okay, this person says there are household disabled who have relied on home delivery of groceries for a long time, and have not been able to basically. So how is that delivery slotted, and are there government agencies that are responsible for tackling that kind of thing? Now, this is a question that a person sent to me because it was sent internationally, but they wanted me to also address that. We do have people in Tobago, for example, who are disabled or who are homebound. They may be elderly, they may be sick, but they are homebound. And I am not sure if there are any specific organizations that are responsible to ensure that they get their care. What I have been encouraging people, particularly people who are responsible for caregivers in Tobago, is that one, we need to ensure that the caregivers are themselves well. If you have a caregiver and that caregiver is sick, that caregiver needs to not be going to work. They need to figure out a way to call in, get somebody else to go see that elderly person, go take care of them or something, because the caregiver cannot be the one who transmits the virus to an elderly person. I also know somebody else called me recently asking about whether there are rules about like picking people's prescription up for them, because they were thinking about offering that kind of service where if you are at home, they can come to your house, collect your prescription, go to the doctor or go to the pharmacy or whatever, get your prescription, bring it for you, bring your groceries for you, bring whatever for you, and they were going to offer that as a business. And I told them it's actually a good idea to do it, because as far as I am aware, there are no rules currently that prevent, that says that the person who fills the prescription, the person who takes the prescription to be filled, has to be the name of the person on the prescription. And in a situation like this, that person may be very ill, as in the name on the prescription may be very ill, so you need somebody else to go and do it. So the person was thinking about doing a business like that, and I told them, you know, it's something worth exploring. They need to be sure that they don't get sick in the process, though, and that if they get sick, whoever is, picking up the prescriptions and dropping them off and so forth, that they are protecting themselves too. That's a consideration that needs to happen. Another question: is it possible for COVID-19 to mutate? And are we able to show immunity over time against the virus? The SARS-CoV-2, the virus, is, yes, it can mutate. That's the nature of viruses and bacteria and all of those things. They mutate. That's why they become bigger and stronger and better, unfortunately. And because they can mutate, so yes, that is a possibility that yes, this SARS-CoV-2 can mutate and become something else. It's quite a possibility. The second part of the question is also true. Our bodies tend to develop natural immunity whenever we've gotten into contact with something. That is the whole premise of vaccinations and immunization. So if you have come into contact with it, particularly if you're one of the 80% of the people who come into contact with it and you recover quickly, it probably means that your body has developed an immunity to it because you've come into contact because you've come into contact with it, right? So that is something that is possible. Yes, we can. I saw an article recently about someone saying that they were looking, that in England or London or somewhere, I can't remember where, they were hoping that a percent of the people would develop immunity to it, and that was the plan that they were using to get people well. That makes no sense. Yes, you are going to develop immunity after a while, sure, but that can't be your plan on treating with it. That would be a long term positive of us getting this, but it can't be your plan right this second. It can't be your plan right this second. So let me look for a couple other questions, and I really just want to make sure I have all of the questions covered so that I don't miss anything, and then I'll go through the live and answer the questions there. All right, let me go through the questions that I have popped up here. Let's go through. What is the current situation concerning the arrival of the CAL flights from New York? I hope I was able to answer that question before. I don't have specifics about specific flights, so I cannot tell you specifically about a specific flight, what's happening. I do know that the authorities have been telling us that those people who came in from the cruise, they have put them in a space, a camping ground kind of facility, somewhere where they can self-quarantine. And I do know that they've been telling people about self-quarantining at home when they come in. I have seen several people talk about or ask about the flights that keep coming in from Europe and wherever. My understanding is that those flights were coming in to bring Trinbagonians home, because even though now we have closed our borders to non-nationals, that we still allow Trinidad and Tobagonians to come into Trinidad and Tobago. You can't keep your citizens out of the country, and you have to you have to allow citizens of other countries to go back home. So my understanding from listening to some of the tourism people is that they had been working on they've been working with the airlines to schedule flights, because there were visitors here. There were visitors from Germany and wherever else in Tobago, and they needed to get them back home. So some of the flights were actually coming with Trinbagonians coming in and leaving with foreign nationals to go back out. Is my understanding of what was happening. That is what they told us, and I am hoping to God that what they said is true. Let me see if there are other questions. And not easy with this tush. Well, that wasn't my word. That was Watson. That was Mr. Duke being Mr. Duke, breaking it down for the average man to understand. Y'all leave me foul and them alone, please. And you see, they've gotten quiet. I guess they've already done whatever it is they were doing. Let's see. All of these foul questions. Okay, so I don't know. That question is in Spanish. Paulo Henrique Santana. Unfortunately I know a little bit of Swahili, and I know English. I don't know Spanish at all. All are you talking about my chickens? Let's see, okay, question. I have heard that it can cause detrimental harm to the kidneys. Can you explain the process by which it does such? No, I can't. I would have to go and do some research to find out exactly what is the process, how it damages your kidneys. And I don't know. I have to go do some research, because my understanding is that it doesn't really affect the kidneys per se, because it's affecting the lungs. And from what I've read about the lung part of it is that so our body has an immune response where you get, once you get a foreign body like a virus or a bacteria, whatever that gets in, your body's immune response starts attacking the foreign thing to push it out, to get it back out. As a matter of fact, when we have cold, like the mucus that comes out of our bodies, that is actually one of the mechanisms that our bodies are using to get rid of the thing, to get rid of the virus or the thing. That's why that phlegm, the mucus, the cold that comes out of your nose and that kind of thing, that is filled with the virus, because that is one of the body's mechanisms to get rid of it. My understanding, though, is that when it's in your lungs and so forth, your body's immune response actually starts attacking some of the, while it's trying to attack the the virus, it actually starts attacking some of the good cells in your lungs, and that's why you get the shortness of breath and so forth. But I don't know about kidneys. I would go search to see. I would go search, but I really don't know exactly how it affects the kidneys, and I would let you know. What is your view on the food card distribution process? I really I heard them say something about distributing food cards, and I understand the need to ensure that people who need food, particularly in a time where our economic stability is going to, it's kind of not stable. But I do hope that the process they implement for giving you the food card allows you to socially distance yourself from people. I have seen lines in, so for example, I see drugstores even in Tobago limiting the number of people inside of the drugstores, which is wonderful. But the people who are outside of the drugstores waiting to go in are bunched up right in front of the door. That's not social distancing. Because if you're bunched up right in front of the door, it means people are right here. And you don't know, those people may, what if they cough? What if they sneeze? And the thing is, we respond to people who are coughing or sneezing now. Usually we used to say, bless you, now we watch bad eye. But the thing is, if somebody really is that close to you and they sneeze or they cough, the bad eye not doing anything. The bad eye not stopping the mucus that just came from them from coming into your face. So the thing to do is not be as close to them in the first place. So even if they sneeze or cough, it doesn't get onto you. Go back again to why it's important to wash your hands. People keep asking for the hand sanitizers, and the hand sanitizers are good if you cannot wash your hands. You need to wash your hands with soap and water, because the soap actually is able to break away the virus from your hand if you've touched anything, and the soap is actually able to kill the virus itself. I was looking at a video recently where they were outlining the fact that the soap actually is able to break away the outer lining of the virus, and that kills the virus. So you need the soap and water, and after you've killed it, you then use the water to wash it away. While if you are just putting hand sanitizer on your hand, then you are killing it, yes, but that is only what is at the surface that you're killing, and it still is on your hand. Remember, with the hand sanitizer, nothing gets washed away from your hand, it's still on your hand, while with soap and water you are washing it away down the sink. Alright, are there other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions on the live. Let me just go through again to make sure that no one else has sent a question where that I can answer. I would like to encourage us. Let me say this too, because this is critical. Tobago is now acutely aware of how much we are dependent on Trinidad for everything, right? I am hearing that we have our suppliers, oh yes, definitely rinse the soap afterwards to ensure you wash off whatever you put, if you're using a bar soap, to rinse that off after and then put it back. That's correct. But going back to the economic thing, I am hearing that some of our retail stores are beginning to complain about the fact that a lot of the stuff they normally purchase in Trinidad and bring to Tobago, they don't, they're having a hard time getting even some of those items in Trinidad now. And that may mean that we have shortages of certain things in Tobago. Now, that is a real reality. it is something that is highlighting the fact that Tobago is absolutely dependent on Trinidad for practically everything so far. And I'm going to make one political statement in this thing. This is why the PDP has been pushing for the longest while, telling us that we in Tobago need to redefine our independence from Trinidad. Because we cannot have a situation where if Trinidad has to cut off from Tobago right now, where we are now wondering what are we going to do. I am asking all of us though, in the interim, to ensure that we are our brother and our sisters keepers. A lot of the things that we purchase from Trinidad or from outside of Trinidad and Tobago, we do not absolutely need. Tobago is blessed with some of the most fertile lands on God's green earth. We are blessed. We have mango trees that are now flowering. All of us who are accustomed to watch the mangoes drop on the ground, and we're not eating that kind of mango because that kind of mango is for pig and all kind of rigmarole story. We don't have that luxury right now. We need to be eating every single fruit that we have growing around us. We need to be eating all of the ground provision that we have around us. I cannot stand green banana. And I have already decided that Faith, if it's green banana, you have to eat. It's green banana, you have to eat. Because I have a patch of green banana behind there that refuses to die. And that is food. So we are going to, if this issue with our retail suppliers don't get resolved, or we get stuff coming from Trinidad to Tobago, those of us in Tobago are going to have to go back to our quote-unquote old-time days and eating the stuff that we have in our backyards, the stuff that we have been refusing, the stuff that our children tell you they don't want this and they don't want that, so you go and buy the pack of corn kernels or the whatever. No, we are getting to the point where we can't be doing that. We have to cut up the, when they start going back to school, cut up the mango and put it in a little container and give it to them to go to school. Because really, and that's the other thing, people keep asking me about vitamins and multivitamins and things to boost your immune system and so forth. And what we need is, you see all of those fruits that we have dropping all over the place that we're not utilizing? Eating those fruits is what boosts our immune system. The mango and the balata and the whatever, those fruits that we have here, those are the ones that are packed with the vitamins and the minerals that we need to boost our immune system. So Solomon is saying, and thanks for that, Solomon is saying, I believe the exact mechanism of kidney injury as it relates to COVID-19 is unclear, but what I've read, it's been suggested that the virus may cause cellular injury in the kidneys. Thanks for that update, Solomon. Solomon and I actually went to the University of Pittsburgh many, many years ago. So thanks for that, Solomon. Another question people ask, and I guess it comes up too, so I would answer. People have been asking about my qualifications and my how am I able to do this? How am I able to know so much about these things? So I'm just letting people know. Say yes, most people know me as Dr. Faith B. Israel. The doctor though is not because I have a medical degree. I don't have a medical degree. I had originally planned to go to med school and then realized I didn't like being around sick people, which is probably a good reason to not become a doctor, a medical doctor. So when I figured out what public health was, I decided to go do a master's in public health and then a doctor of public health degree, DRPH public health, in behavioral and community health sciences. So I am a trained health educator. Because I have a DRPH, Doctor of Public Health, I actually did quite a bit of work as it relates to learning how to run projects and programs and doing it that way, while most PhDs tend to be more people in the lab and that kind of thing. So that's why this is what I was trained to do. I'm a health educator. I come from a family of educators. My mother taught is still teaching, just not right now because schools are closed. My grandmother, my grand aunt, I come from a family of educators. So that's what I do. Yes, all of the green banana chow goes down good also. Yes, the fresh fruits, the ginger tea, all of the stuff that we have here. That is what we should be. That is what we should be pushing. That's what we should be pushing. So let me just make sure I don't have any other questions. If there are no other questions, please share the live with other people who might benefit from the information. Please, 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 please keep washing your hands. Keep doing your social distances. Think about it. Every time you think that you are too close to somebody else, it's probably because you are too close to them. Practice the social distancing. Think about it practically, what it means, and let's do this. It's only going to be if all of us do it now, if all of us bunker down and do our social distancing now, if all of us wash our hands, and if we are 60 home, and if all of us do that now, then Trinidad and Tobago, and particularly Tobago, can pull out of this faster than anywhere else. Because if we do it now, it means we halt the spreading of the infection. And if we halt the spreading of the infection, it means we are able to do our curve, that, and then have it go back down. And that's what we need. That's what we need. So I think that's it. We could do this, guys. We can do this. I am looking at other countries where they are doing it and they are being successful. Trinidad and Tobago specifically, we can do this. I know it's scary. I know it's frightening. I know when you think of all of this and you hear people coming on TV and saying different things and so forth, it makes you think, and you think, oh gosh, no harvest. Yes, no harvest for a little while, but we can do this. We can do this. So let us all bunker down together. Let us all practice social distancing, and let us all ensure that we are our brother and our grandparents' keeper. Most of us, our grandparents are the ones who really took care of us while our parents went out to work and so forth. We can do this. Someone says quickly, if someone with depressed HIV, somebody who has HIV, if they can get COVID-19, anyone can get COVID-19. And yes, if you are living with HIV, you are one of the people who is of higher risk of developing severe symptoms. So if you are living with HIV, you need to be even more careful. You need to be even more restrictive in terms of who you come into contact with. You need to bunker down even more, because remember, your immune system is already compromised. Your immune system is already not working as well as everybody else's. So yes, you are in a higher risk group, which means you need to take even more precautions. You need to ensure that you have your medication, because this is not a time, if you're living with HIV, to not take your antiretrovirals, because you need all the help you can get. And that applies to everybody else too. If you have some other comorbidity, this is not the time to stop taking your medication. But particularly for somebody living with HIV, this is not the time to stop taking your medication. This is the time to take it. This is the time to ensure that you build your system, that you have as much help as possible, so that just in case you do come into contact with the virus, that your body is able to withstand it. Okay? Any other quick questions before I go? If not, then you could send them to me on Facebook Messenger. Send them to me on WhatsApp, and I could respond. I would respond to you directly if I can. If not, I would do the research and then get back, and I would probably do another live a little later, maybe tomorrow, over the weekend or so, depending on what I'm seeing, depending on where I see this going. But we could do this. We could do this. Guys, we can do this. We can do this. So let's bunker down. Let's socially distance ourselves. If you are sick, stay home. If you are sick, stay home. Call the numbers. If you are sick, stay home. Call the numbers. Stay away from other people if you are sick. Be socially responsible. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wash your damn hands. Wash your hands. Please, for the love of all that is good, keep washing your hands. Again, share this live so that other people can benefit from the knowledge. And if not, anything else, that's it. See you all soon. And hey, as I said, we can do this. We could do this. See you.